play it all or nothing. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Poker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a face. And when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need a couple.
Welcome to Takeover, the most underrated sports debate show on YouTube. And we are back with another one. We're almost back at school, almost back to probably seeing each other in person. How you guys doing?
I'm living, working for money, dying from the grind, and enjoying the fact that I'm going to have to be disappointed by 2 Atlanta sports teams right now, not 3 or 4. So,
I'm doing good.
All right, James, we really how you play sports, but we know what happened over the past couple of days. It looks like LeBron has assembled the Avengers in LA. Guys, what are our reactions to the Lakers' new acquirements, new players, and how they're going to look next season?
So obviously, there's no doubt that there's a lot of talent on that team. Obviously, with Bron, AD, Russ, and everybody. I'll get into the specifics later on, but there should be no problem with them getting through the regular season, and there should be no problem with them making it to the playoffs. But I do believe there could be some bad things about this. There could be some good things about these moves that they made. One of them being that I think the fit doesn't. Well, I won't say it doesn't work, but it could potentially not work because obviously you have Russ, a ball dominant player, with Bron, who is also a ball dominant player, and you also have his decision making, which is not the best. He's not really the best when it comes to playing off ball, and Bron plays the best with players who are really good with playing off ball. And another thing is spacing could also be a concern as well. As you look at the career that LeBron has had, he tends to thrive with spacing. When you look at the Cavaliers with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, and even with the Miami Heat to a certain extent. And also spacing can be a concern for AD as well, because AD isn't really a pure big man. He can be in the paint, but he can also be on the perimeter as well. And that's sometimes where he likes to be too. And, LeBron and Russ basically get a majority of their points in the paint. So my main concern for AD will be that he won't really have a presence in the paint anymore, and he'll just be get so used to that spot up shooter type role. And I don't think that's a role that he should take. So my biggest concern for that will be, can the team really mesh together? Will they fit together? Now, some of the positives is Russ, he will be able to help in transition. We all know he's going to give you 110% on both sides of the floor. And he gives you that playmaking that I think that they were missing. When you look at Dennis Schroeder, he was supposed to be that player to where when Bron goes on the bench, he was supposed to be that player that was supposed to be kind of like that playmaker that could help with the second unit. So I feel like Russ kind of fits in there perfectly. I feel like Russ can take over the load because obviously when you look at Anthony Davis, I think his body doesn't allow him to really go through an entire season. And Bron coming off of an injury and obviously getting older, about to be 37, he can't carry the load like he used to either. So I believe Russ will be able to come in and take the load off of them in the regular season. So when it comes to the playoffs, they'll be more healthy and their body won't be as spent. But some other moves that I thought were really good for the Lakers, one of their weaknesses was in shooting, and I believe they went out and they tried to fill in the places that they were lacking. Like they got Trevor Ariza. He's a capable shooter. He's a capable defender. He's not really going to be asked to do much, just play defense and hit his open shots when he has the opportunity. They got Wayne Ellington Jr. That's a three-point shooter. He scored 42% from three. Malik Monk, Kent Bazemore. He's a potential 3-and-D player. He shot 40% from three last season. They got back Dwight Howard, which gives them rim protection, and I believe he had way more impact on defense than Gasol and Drummond would. And of course, they brought in Melo. He's going to be really that spot up shooter. I don't anticipate him being in the first lineup, really in the starting lineup. I believe he's going to be like that person that can be on the second unit and bring depth to the bench. I have no worries about the Lakers making it to the playoffs or even to the finals, really, because when you look at the standing of the Western Conference, think about it. You have the Clippers, Kawhi's going to be gone for almost the entire season. You have, with the Nuggets, you have Jamal Murray. He's not going to be back till maybe like the end of next season. And even then, will they still be able to compete with this team? Yeah, that's what I have to say about the Lakers.
I promise I don't hate Russell Westbrook. I have so much respect for Russell Westbrook, the person, and Russell Westbrook, the player. And this is not Russell Westbrook slander in any way, shape, or form. But somehow, some way, Russell Westbrook always ends up in the worst possible situations for himself. And that causes me to criticize the situation. Don't take any of this as I'm going against Westbrook. Westbrook can be a fantastic player in the right situation. But I think him going to the Lakers is possibly the worst place for him to have gone in the entire NBA. Because Russell Westbrook, as D touched on, is great with the ball in his hands, is great when he gets ahead of steam and starts going to the rim. The Lakers, he is at best when he's surrounded by 3 or 4 shooters that can draw people away from the paint. The Lakers don't have anybody really like that. They signed Wayne Ellington. He's been a good shooter. They signed Kent Bazemore. He's a little touch and go, but he's had some good years. Markieff Morris, not a bad shooter. But their starting lineup is going to have not just Russell Westbrook, who's a career 30% shooter from 3. Anthony Davis, who's a career 31% shooter from 3. And LeBron James, who's a career 34% shooter from 3. 3 below shooters on the same lineup in the 2021 NBA is not a good fit. So I would go on the opposite spectrum of D. And I think the Lakers made a bunch of great moves for role players. I think their trade for Russell Westbrook is going to keep them out of the finals.
All right, Josh, I've heard your points. But before I give my take, let me get just a little comfortable. I just need to get just a little comfortable. Just hold on. Give me one second. Hold on. Just a little comfortable. I'm working. Hold on. Just a little comfortable. Just a little. Hold on. Just one more. We're working. Hold on. All right. I think I'm ready. All right.
2 teams behind on those Westbrook jerseys.
You said what?
2 teams behind on those Westbrook jerseys now, Cam. You got to step it up.
I just missed Washington. I'm fine. But on to Russell Westbrook, the guy that you guys think is going to be a scary fit. I think you guys will forget who's the king of I want to build my own team. Who's the real Slim Shady? Who walked so Kevin Durant could run? I think it's LeBron James, the guy who's built all these teams. So he brought in Russ for a reason. And I think Russ is going to have a different role than you guys expect. You look at the Lakers last season. Their problems was we don't have a secondary playmaker. We don't have a secondary guy besides Braun who can really get his shot. You look at Russell Westbrook and what he's done, especially last season with the Washington Wizards. He boosted that team when that team was not supposed to be there. Russell Westbrook the past 4 to 5 seasons has averaged 9 to 10 assists. He can be a secondary playmaker. And I think when he's with the starting role, he won't be that aggressive Westbrook that we all know to love. I think he'll be more of a passer. I think he'll give LeBron and AD more of those looks and get those other guys open. And then once LeBron and AD go to the bench, I feel like that's when we'll see more of the attacking Westbrook when he's going against twos. And I feel like that's going to be the best scenario for the Lakers. And especially when you have guys like Deandra said, Wayne Ellington, who shoots 42% from the field. They signed Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore can shoot, and also Malik Monk, who can create his own shot and shoot the 3 very well. There's a lot of shooters around Russell Westbrook as well. So I feel like the spacing, it may be a problem, but I if there's one person who can figure it out, it's LeBron James. And so I'm going to bank on that, and I'm going to bank on LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and AD making it out of the West and going to the finals.
I don't know, man. We're going to have to see. It's an interesting fit, but we're going to move on to another team that's made a massive splash in free agency right up there with the Lakers. We're talking about the team on the other side of the United States of America, the Miami Heat, South Beach. A lot of people took their talents there. What y'all thinking?
All right. I know I just gave a huge spiel about Russell Westbrook and LeBron James. And you know how I feel about Russ, guys. But this Miami Heat team is probably my favorite team to watch, just because of who's around them. This will be the most gritty, the most tough, the most out-hustle team in the NBA. I feel like defense efficiency, they'll be first. You add Kyle Lowry and you add PJ Tucker. Kyle Lowry's a perimeter threat. He's really good on defense, and PJ Tucker is a dog. We saw that last season. Even though Kevin Durant was giving them buckets I think it was the Eastern Conference semis, he still held his own. He still made key defensive stops. And I don't think Kyle Lowry makes them world beaters or anything else like that. I think they're currently constructed probably like the third best team in the East right now. And then they were able to keep Duncan Robinson as well. And I think what Kyle Lowry's going to do is take some of the pressure off Jimmy Butler and creating plays. I feel like down the stretch in the bubble and down the stretch this season, Jimmy Butler has gotten out of attack mode and more of, I need to get my guys going because I know I can score, but can they do the same? And I feel like Kyle Lowry's going to take the load off, and I feel like we'll have more of an explosion from Jimmy Butler this season. So I think they'll be a team to watch. I don't think it makes them world beaters, but they're definitely in the right direction.
I agree. I wouldn't say that this move makes them like contenders to go to the finals, but I do believe it's a really good move for with adding Kyle Lowry. When you look at the offense that the Miami Heat ran in the playoffs, if Jimmy Butler couldn't get it going, then they basically just relied on Duncan Robinson to hit threes. And if he couldn't do it, they were asking Trevor Ariza to create on the perimeter. And then Bam just wasn't aggressive. The offense was just all over the place. It looked like they didn't know what they were doing. But I believe Kyle Lowry coming in, obviously he competes on both sides of the ball. He brings that championship and veteran mindset. He can help bring fluidity to the offense as well. And one of the things that I see, one of the key things happening is the pick and roll with Bam. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, he's not a slasher from 3-point, but you can't leave him open because he's going to make you pay. But so that would be able to open up opportunities for Bam. And like you said, Cameron, there shouldn't be any defensive weaknesses on this team at all. The only weakness I could think of is Duncan Robinson at this point. But you get PJ Tucker away from the champions with the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. It's a solid team.
I don't disagree with y'all. Hey, on paper, this team doesn't look decent. Only thing I'm concerned with is the wear and tear and the age. Because PJ Tucker has been in the playoffs for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and he plays some heavy minutes. As you said, he takes on heavy defensive tolls, and he's 36 already. Kyle Lowry himself, 35 years old, lots of deep playoff runs. Jimmy Butler, he's 32, but he's a Tom Thibodeau 32, which means he's really about 34, 35. So on paper, this looks dangerous. And I like what you said, Cam. These guys are going to play prison ball. They're going to bully everybody that they play against. And I think if they get hot at the right time, they could make a run in the playoffs. But I don't think that this puts them in the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. I think they're still very much around the second tier of the, like I just said, teams that can get hot at the right time and make a run, but still don't stack up on paper to the top 3 or 4 teams in the East right now. So not a terrible move, but I just don't think it's just yet.
You said they weren't top tier. Who's in that top tier above them? If you can name me some teams.
Milwaukee, obviously. I would put them up there. Who else is out there? You can't take the Hawks out of there just yet because the Hawks ain't lost nothing. I know y'all look at 2 games off the champions.
I'm going to say this to you right now. I'll break it on Takeover. The Bulls are going to be better than the Atlanta Hawks this season. I'm going to tell you right now. I feel like the Chicago Bulls, with the acquisitions of Alonzo Ball, Zach LaVine's balling out. He's done it in quiet. Honestly, he had a better season than your boy Donovan Mitchell, but nobody knew because he was in Chicago. You got Vucevic. I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks ran to the Bulls and got an early round exit. I'm just being real with you. But I think counting Miami out and putting the Hawks into that upper echelon is a bit too soon for me.
A bit too soon? They went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
They did it one time.
Okay, and where did he last year?
I'm just saying. Kyle Lowry has won a championship. Jimmy Butler has won a championship. PJ Tucker is a champion. That matters. It matters.
I'm sorry,
like
Cam.
I said, if y'all run into the Bulls, don't run into the Bulls.
I'm gonna quote your boy. You gotta move on. I'm gonna quote your boy. I'm gonna say you need to stay off the weed. But let's go ahead and transition into our next topic. I'll kick us in because I'm talking right now and I don't want to. So we're going to be doing a quick little lightning round for you because there's so much to talk about in free agency. We can't talk about every team and every move. So each one of us has picked a specific move outside of the two teams that we just talked about. Each one of us picked a specific team or specific move to highlight. We're going to give you some quick hitters on what we think. So whoever wants to go first, the floor is yours.
I'll take this one. It's funny that you bring up the Chicago Bulls because that is the team that I chose, and I agree with Cam when I say that this team should be a playoff team right now. Obviously, they got Lonzo Ball. He's an improved three-point shooter. He has playmaking with his passing. He has great court vision, and he's an unselfish player. And when you pair an unselfish player with the franchise player and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan as well, and an all-star center in Vooch, I think this team is going to be something to look forward to. They struggled really with defense, specifically perimeter defense this past season, but Lonzo and Caruso helped that, and they have Patrick Williams as well. And when you look at DeMar DeRozan, he could finish at the rim. He's developed playmaking, and many people forget just because he played on the Spurs that DeMar DeRozan is just a terrible player. Like, no, he actually became one of the best passers in the league this season. And you pair that with Lonzo and Zach LaVine and Vooch, like I think they just make a good team. It's a well-rounded team, and they can be a playoff team. Obviously, well, my opinion personally, I thought they were going to be able to make the play-in when they got Vooch, but then they had some health issues with protocol issues with Zach LaVine. I think that kind of took away from them as well. So don't sleep on the Bulls. That's all I'm gonna say.
My team that I'm going to pick is the Golden State Warriors. Oh, wait, Cam, Golden State didn't make any moves. Exactly. My point is, if you have a Steph Curry, you have a Klay Thompson, that window is closing. Klay is coming off of 2 ACL injuries. I know he's one of the best two-ways, but how good of a two-way are you going to be after all those injuries? I'm pretty sure he'll still be able to shoot the ball. You got Steph playing at these blazing amount of minutes. How long are Steph and Klay going to play at this amazing productivity? And this isn't the NBA 5 years ago where Steph and Klay just had the NBA shooken on its heels. I feel like most of the teams have caught up and be able to play with these guys. So if you're the GM of the Golden State Warriors, you got to add somebody. LeBron and added Russ and the whole super squad. The Nuggets are really good. The Utah Jazz are right there. It's a lot of teams that I feel like have caught up or probably surpassed the Warriors at this point, and they're not adding anybody. They're not really helping Steph Curry get to that next level. So I feel like we have to look at the Warriors and be like, what's happening? Because I feel like the window for them to win a championship, I know they just signed Steph, but it's closing at an alarming rate, especially with the dimension of Draymond's game as well.
I really sat and I tossed and turned at night, and I really thought about what I wanted to talk about with this because I didn't really have an obvious choice because I figured somebody would talk about the Bulls because they've had a great offseason. They've made a lot of great moves. I figured somebody would pick up on another big move or maybe like a smaller move that they thought could actually make a big deal. I didn't really know which direction I wanted to go. And then earlier today, the news came, the heavens parted, I heard the chorus, hallelujah. John Collins is back in Atlanta, 5 years, 125. And let me tell you, this just puts the Hawks right there in the top 3 of the East right now because they are getting their third best player back on a far below market deal. They're able to now keep continuity throughout this year. The only people from last year's team that they are going to be losing are Tony Snell, Brandon Goodwin, and who was the other? Who was the other one? Nobody. They're not losing anybody important. They still have a chance to bring back Lou Will. And even if they don't bring back Lou Will, they got Sharif Cooper. They got Jalen Johnson. They've added depth this year. And this team was already one of the deepest in the NBA. What is there not to like? John the Baptist is going to baptize the rest of the Eastern Conference, and he's going to bless Atlanta. You heard it here first. I was right about him last year. I'll be right about him this year.
I mean, it's easy to say. I told you about Atlanta. When everyone has expectations for them, they seem to fail. Just like the person on your shirt right now. I know you've been cheering for Julio. Fail. Expectations. Fail. So I expect that's going to rock up.
Expectations. That was all the Falcons, but Julio never failed expectations. That was all.
The Falcons did, though. The Falcons did.
That's the Falcons, but not Julio. Don't come at my boy. Don't come at Jet.
Who?
Don't come at Jet.
Anyway, that's gonna wrap up our episode. Do you guys have anything to say?
I do. I want everybody that's watching this video right now, because I know you love the video, because why wouldn't you? We're the best thing on YouTube right now. I want you guys to, while I'm talking, scroll down, hit that massive red button that says subscribe. It's very satisfying because it like changes color when you click it. So click that button. Next to it, there's going to be a little bell. Hit that and hit all so that you know every week when we drop one of these bangers, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in to the next best thing that's ever going to come out of YouTube ever. I would hop on the bandwagon right now. Think about it. Think of us as Dogecoin. Remember when Dogecoin was worth like 5 cents? Now it's worth like, it went up to like 50 cents at some point. You can be an original investor in Takeover and get us to the moon, and then you'll be able to say, I was one of the first 150. I'm just saying, it's the opportunity of a lifetime.
Lakers in 5. That's going to end our episode. Takeover out.
Yeah, we play it all in night. Yeah. Need it all in advance, the opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind on the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass, we coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back, 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a face. And when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need